I want to show you how we apply this to just straight up Hapkido. So it's a Sin Moo Hapkido material by showing the number one of the basic eight. Now the basic eight follows a sequence. It's one technique each. There's 8 basic techniques. Each one is done in basically 3 different forms. And they follow a sort of a progression of latency, meaning how late do I respond. So the first version is Brandon grabs me, okay? This represents a failure on my part. It's important that when we practice together, we realize if he's grabbed me, that represents my death, okay? Because if that had been a punch instead of a grab, that means the punch landed. If he had a knife in his hand, that means I'd be stabbed. So if he can grab me, it means I'm dead. That's what we have to realize. So as he's grabbing me, he's going to land that punch. So do that. Boom. That's what he's trying to do. If the first thing I do is this, I get punched. So what we're going to do, using that philosophy we just showed in the other film, is I'm going to stop him. Stop the violence first, then go to the technique. Okay? I hit. I'm away from that other hand, and I apply the armbar. Okay? Second version of this is dealing with a punch. Now, I'm not going to stand here and passively wait for the punch to get here and then try to block it. As soon as I see that he's coming, I'm going to move forward. I'm proactive. I'm not worried about protecting myself from him. He's got to protect himself from me. So as soon as I see the punches coming, I move. I'm on top of him. Okay? I'm not waiting, or I'm not somehow waiting and doing this. I don't believe that's possible. So as he's punching, I'm moving. I'm already moving. I'm not waiting. The third version of this is, come back over here. The third version of this is, I decide he's showing the signs of doing something violent, and I'm going to intercept this. I'm not going to wait for the attack to manifest. I know it's imminent, so I'm going to take control of this situation. So I'm going to take his arm, the arm bar. Okay? That means I'm going to, what Dojinum says, force a reaction. So I'm going to make him block me. So I'm going to give him something he can see fast enough that he experiences as a threat, but not so fast that he can't stop it. And as he reaches his hand, goes to intercept my hand, I go into the armbar position. Okay? This sequence is established from swordsmanship down into karate as what they call go no sen, which is late, he grabbed me, sen no sen, which is basically at the same time, and then sen no sen means before. So that's my decision to take control of this situation. We don't teach the attacking form of this by me grabbing his wrist here because that invites getting clogged. So I am not going to use this as a way of grabbing Brandon and initiating the technique. I'm going to use Dojinim's idea of creating a reaction in my partner by feeding him the arm. Okay? Okay. So that's what basic number 1 looks like. Sometimes though we encounter some trouble. So Brandon is young, fit, fast, and very precise. But once I get him into this armbar position, he's pretty much mine because I'm almost twice his weight. So just from my mass alone, once I get Brandon here, I can pretty much manage it. Okay? But somebody like Clobbersaurus here, I might have a problem. And a lot of people who practice Hapkido have difficulty applying some of these techniques to much larger people. So I just want to look at resistance here, how to overcome resistance. So when I go to apply this to Mr. Downs, he can fight me in a couple different ways. One is by lifting that elbow, and I have to push really, really hard. Okay? I think a lot of times what we practice is using pain to move him. And my experience has been pain is an unreliable ally. It can work fine. It works really well on me because I'm basically a little weenie. But some people have really good pain tolerance or really good pain management. Some people in a fight may be altered because of chemicals. They may be altered because of the chemicals their body produces. In a rage, they might be flooded with cortisol or other glucocorticoids, or they might be flooded with adrenaline, epinephrine, same drug, same chemical. Sometimes even dopamine, which all masks pain. So if he's got really good, or he just might be a total badass and just, I can't get him to feel pain. So I'm going to go for a more mechanical control strategy. All right? If I go for pain and pain fails me, then I've given up precious nanoseconds dealing with somebody much larger than me. So let's say I'm here and he tries to defeat me by lifting his elbow up. What I want to try to do is I'm going to just rotate his elbow forward. Okay? So for the moment, what happens is right now, the sort of locus of this movement is a couple fingers above the elbow. There's what Dojam calls a pain point. But if he and that's the locus of the movement. But if he raises his elbow and that will no longer work, I'm going to rotate his elbow forward. That momentarily changes the locus of the technique to the shoulder and lets me come back to the pain point. Okay? The other thing I can do is if I'm getting here and his elbow's popping up to stop me, is I'll just receive his elbow, put him into like a Z-lock. Okay, that's the other option for dealing with this kind of resistance. The other thing I can do with my position is I can try to move his weight. Right now, his body weight is focused over his feet, which gives him a really stable platform. So what I can do as I'm applying the arm bar is I can move his shoulder just slightly past his feet and then go down, and he shouldn't be able to resist me very well. Okay, it's a lot easier. The other option I have for movement is I'm in this position, looking at the line of this arm through his shoulder to that other shoulder, is I can just drive him that way. I think a lot of times we try to take him forward and he kind of walks. Then we find we're fighting. So rather than walking forward, I take him through the line of his shoulders and drive him back to this one. Okay? So that's one way, that's a couple different ways of dealing with resistance on the arm bar.